Hey everyone, it's John here with notesonaguitar.com. In this video I'm going to show you how to play a B major chord on the guitar. In a previous video I showed how to do a B minor chord like this. So this chord is in the same position generally, 2nd fret, but it's a slightly different fingering. It's like this. Now if you take a look at this, you can see that basically this chord is like taking an A major chord. Maybe you've seen my video on A major. Right, this is A major, where these 3 notes are played. You can play them with a bar like this, or you can play them like this. You're basically going to take that shape and play it with your 3rd finger, like this. And then you're going to slide it up 2 frets. So here's an A major. If you were to slide it up 1 fret, it would be A sharp. Slide it up 1 more fret, now you have B. Okay, and then because you slid this finger up 2 frets, you have to also slide the open string up, which means that's where the bar comes in. In other words, we can't just move this up and continue to play the open A, right, or the open E, because that's a different chord. There's nothing wrong with that chord, but that's not what we're trying to play. So you slide it up to here, and then your 1st finger is basically playing a bar like this. Now you're only going to hear this 1st note, this B on the 2nd fret of the A string, and this F sharp right here on the 2nd fret of the E string, because these 3 notes are going to be in the way of the other ones. But that's the full chord. You're basically doing 2 bars at the same time. You're barring these 3 notes with this finger, and you're barring this note and that note with that finger. Okay. Now, the hardest thing about this chord, I think, is the being able to get this F sharp to ring out. Okay, because this finger, it's actually really a tricky thing to do, because it's barring these 3 notes, but it also has to get out of the way of the open E string. So if you go down too much, like if you just bar all the way across these 4 strings, you wind up with this. That note, that's not right. Okay, it's a B6 chord. So you have to have it so that this finger lifts up and allows the open E string to ring out, while at the same time pressing down enough for these 3 notes to come out. So it's a very fine balance that you have to do there. So as you're playing it, go through it, maybe even forget about the 1st finger for a second, and just go to each note and think like, oh, that doesn't sound right. That's because I'm not pressing down enough. So let me try again. Now that one sounds more clear, but now I've blocked off the open E string. So you have to, and then let your hand rest, because if you hold the position like that for a long time, your hand is going to get really tired. But that's the kind of thing that you need to work on in order to get this chord to sound correct. I mean, if you want to get all of the notes to ring out, which you should shoot for doing that. In reality, when you play the chord, you often don't care about hearing that note. I mean, if you're just playing a rock song like, you don't really care if it's going like that. In fact, you might not want that high F sharp. So it's not like it's all or nothing. I mean, basically the first step, I guess, is to get those 4 notes to ring out, because that is a full B major chord. But ideally, you want to work on it so that you can also get that high F sharp to ring out. Okay, so that's going to take a lot of practice, but it's worth it. I think it's a good chord to know. And just to show you kind of like the relation between these 2 chords, it's pretty much the same as the B minor. It's just that the B minor with a minor chord, they take the 3rd note of the chord, which in this case in B is D sharp. To make a minor chord, you reduce that by 1 fret or 1 semitone. So the only difference between these 2 chords is this goes up to here, and you just have to kind of play it a different way, because you can't really, I guess you could try and do that. Actually, one way people like to play this chord sometimes is by stacking these 3 fingers. which I have a hard time doing. I don't ever practice it that way, so I can't even really do it right now. That doesn't really work for me, but it might work for you. You can try it. I usually just play it like this. So what's great about this chord, like the B minor that I showed you and like the F major chord that I just did in another video, is that it's a movable shape. So once you get it down, you can then move it. So in this position, in second position, it's a B. But if you move it to like the fifth position here, it's a D chord. Or if you go down here, it's a C sharp chord, and so on. So that's what's so great about bar chords. You know, learn it in one place and get the shape down, get the pattern down, and then you can move it all over the fret, and you have move it all over the fingerboard, and you have tons of different chords. So it's a really useful thing to learn. So this chord is definitely harder than some of the other ones because it's got two bar chords going on. I mean, two bars going on at the same time. But it is really useful and something you should practice. All right. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.